Alright, welcome back everyone. We are in the SuperStock Grand Corsa race. So this is going to be the longer one. This is round 4 of PanAmerican Superbike down here at Roebling Road Raceway outside of Savannah. And we are getting ready to kick this off here in a couple of seconds. Alright, flags are down. Everyone's out. Lights are on. A little bit of a jump start there from the guy on the left, but we are off to the races there. Not the best start. I lose a couple places there, but you know, if you watch some of my other videos, it's hardly the worst start I've had, so that's good. We're off cleanly here. All right, so talk about it. If you watch my other video from this weekend, you already know about a little bit about how the bike's set up and everything, but I'll go over it a little bit in this video as well. So weather for this weekend was pretty hot. We're 90s, mid-90s, low 90s all weekend, especially on practice and qualifying on Saturday. It got real hot, but you know, the race here was probably mid-90s, so that's probably about 100 on track or so. But yeah, so fairly warm. Heat was definitely a problem, but this was our first race of the day, so it was a little bit cooler here. This is probably real upper 80s, maybe starting to creep into the 90s. Very humid. So, you know, a tough one. Obviously, fatigue sets in by the end of it. Here we are going into 8-9, and there goes a Kramer. I didn't even know Kramers were in Superstock class, but he is off. You can see how much corner speed that bike carries compared to us. But, you know, he's expert, so it doesn't matter too much for us. We're trying to catch up. Tony's right in front of me. He's a good friend, and he is also in the amateur class with me. So right now he got off to a better start. And we are trying to catch up to him. In terms of tires and everything, we did SC1s on both the front and the rear, which these felt pretty good for this one. And if you look at the lap times, these are probably, in some cases, like 2 seconds faster than lap times I was running later in the day with the sprint races that I ended up just throwing up a used SC2 on the rear because I had to run through the SC1 on both of these races, the SuperStock race that this one is, as well as the Superbike race later in the day. But there was obviously a time advantage with the SC1s. I definitely put down my fastest laps of the day in this race, and as well as a personal best. So that was exciting to see that. Definitely positive there. Obviously, kind of struggled a lot coming out of this turn 9 onto the front straight this entire weekend. We got to work on that next time we go back to Roebling. But we were trying to kind of stay a little bit with Tony here. I felt like I had a bit more pace than him, but was, you know, just needed to make sure I was setting up a good pass around him. And, you know, the other people that I'm trying to catch up to aren't too far ahead yet. I do start to see them picking up a little bit of pace here, so I want to start getting around Tony before I lose too much time. But, you know, we're not too far back on this one. So for the suspension for the weekend, suspension's very open here. I've got an Öhlins TTX shock in the rear, and then Öhlins, actually the older 25mm style cartridges in the front. Here I think about going around Tony there, but not quite, and don't get the drive going in here that I want. But I do know that I'm a little bit stronger on the brakes going into turn 1, so I'm really just going to try to keep with them through here, get good drive out of 9, and stay with them close enough to try to pass into turn 1. I feel like that's probably the easiest place for me to pass. So there I get reasonable drive. I can get a little bit into the slipstream behind him, and then we're going to kind of edge a little bit on the inside and then just brake a little bit later. Make it simple, make it clean, it's quick, and then we'll carry a little bit more corner speed through here. Try to go out wide and between 1 and 2, and then get that drive out of 2 to try to, you know, carry some good corner speed through 3, and then we're already almost looking like we're catching up to the guy in front of us, so that's good. That's kind of what we're trying to do there. Again, so back to the suspension stuff, like the valving is very open at Roebling because you're leaned over for so long. When I go back there again, I'd like to try a couple different things. For one, I'm gonna probably take some preload out of the front and try to get it to soften a little bit there, or kind of dive a little bit harder. And then in the rear, I may actually try to add a little bit more preload in there. I think overall, I probably still need to run a little bit less valving and kind of not force the tire to do quite so much work. But we'll make those adjustments kind of going forward. These ones here, these next couple laps are some of the fastest that I do for the race. Obviously hit my personal best here of like 16.2, so that was a big positive, even though I didn't get the kind of end results that I wanted to at the end of the race. But you know, getting to chase down someone in front of you that's got good pace, and then you know you've got maybe just a little bit more if you hit your laps cleanly. That's kind of almost ideal for me, right? Because I can really try to chase him down. Here I seemed like I had a lot more pace, was kind of going into 4, which was good for me. I wanted to keep track of that, but it was a place where I seemed like I was taking chunks of time out. Also this turn that's honestly one of my favorite turns, so I love turning left, so that one's one of the few left-hand turns we get on Roebling, and kind of a fun one for me. So we'll try to get decent drive out of here and see if we can pass him. You know, in terms of gearing, I'm running a 1541 here. If I was gonna, when I go back to Roebling again, in addition to some of those suspension upgrades, but changes, I would like to play around a little bit with gearing. Again, setting up that same pass right there as I did on Tony before. That was Michael Barkley. He's actually winning our class for right now, so he was kind of who I wanted to beat. May or may not have ended up happening. We'll have to watch the end of it. But for gearing, I kind of wanted to switch. My front body let it turn me onto the 1541 gearing, which was great. I'm honestly real happy with that gearing. I don't know that I'm really going to get much different out of there. I would be curious to do a 1542 just to get a little bit more kind of drive out of some of the exits. The nice thing about the 1541 is the shift points really work for me, and I'm not sure if I'll end up messing that up by going to like a 1542. Coming out of turn 2, I feel like I don't quite have the bike in the rev range that I want it to. Some people actually downshift between 1 and 2 with that gearing, but I don't like doing that. It just kind of upsets the bike a little bit. I don't have like a slipper clutch or auto clipper or anything like that, so it's tough for me to do that. You can see Michael there trying to set up a pass for me. I just try to brake a little bit later and hold him off a little bit longer. You see there, coming out of there, I feel like I'm down probably more like 10,500 RPM, and I really want to be up a little bit more than that. So 1542 could help with that. Here, I just kind of downshift going into that turn, and that works really well for me, and the shift point between 7 and 8 really works for me as well. So it makes for a very simple lap, and in many cases when I'm unsure about something, I like going simple, just because it's less to think about, and my laps tend to be a little bit cleaner. Obviously when we're a little bit cleaner, we're a little bit smoother, and so that's good all around there. So as we come around here, we know Michael's right behind me. I'm going to try to get good drive out of here, but again, like, it's hot. We're starting to get a little bit further into the races, and I am noticeably slowing down. You can tell by the lap times that I'm going to start slowing down. I know Michael's right behind me. He's strong, he's fast, he's usually going to be a faster rider than me, and so I know if I passed him, he's probably going to just stick on my tail and sit there for a little while. So you know that pass is going to come at some point, right? Trying to put down clean laps, but also, you know, in some ways, if I think about it from his perspective, like, the guys in front of us are pretty far in front of us, and if I passed him, we've maybe got similar pace, so he's not in a huge rush to get around me. He's fine with sitting behind me for a little bit. He feels like he's got a good place to pass me, and if he feels like we're not gonna catch up to the guys in front of us. But we know this pass is coming somewhere. Let's see if it happens this time around. Pretty much everyone had better exit drive out of 9, so they usually get a head start on the front straight, which is tough for me. Again, really got to work on this. My bike's a little bit older and has a little bit less horsepower, but really a lot of the problems that I was struggling with this weekend were just due to my kind of exit drive out of here. So we see Michael here. He's gonna kind of pretty much a decent block pass there. I really couldn't turn in, so I had to run pretty wide there, and that kind of really, that was a rough turn for me. Just did not do well recovering from that. He gets away from me a little bit, but you know, now we're back in it. All right, we're gonna try to just clean up our laps, see if we can make sure he doesn't run away on us, right? And then see what we can do later in the race. And so I lost a lot of time, obviously, in that 1-2 section, and obviously in the 3 to some degree as well. But now, so we got some distance between us, but now he's not really gaining a ton on us, so that's good. It means I'm just kind of still kind of in this. I think I can fight for that position a little bit better. So we were talking about gearing a little bit. I'll just kind of walk you guys through how I run a lap at Roebling with this gearing and this kind of setup. Again, I said it's simple, so that's really nice for me. By now we're at the top of 6th gear, and so what I'm going to do is kind of just drop down 2 gears going into 1. Again, some people actually shift right about here to get 1 gear lower to get the drive out of here. I don't, I just leave it in there. And I'm gonna hold that same gear all the way through 3, because you would end up having to shift again between that 2-3. Right here, going into 4, I end up shifting down, and I actually, the engine braking alone is enough for me that I don't have to brake at all. If I'm running the pace that I want to, I don't actually brake going into that turn. I just drop a gear, and it kind of drags enough speed off the top of it. And then I can actually leave the bike in gear, in that same gear, all the way around this back section. And then now coming out of 7 here, going into 8 and 9, I'm going to grab a gear in the middle of there. It's kind of an easy place to shift. And then we're going to lay it over, try to get some drive out of here, and you'll see right about here is when you're going to, or at least I'm going to shift. Coming out of there, I'm going to grab 1 gear. Right about the finish line, I'm going to grab another gear, and then we're back to turn 1 where we're going to drop 2 more gears. We saw a little bit of lap traffic there. We were able to get around that fairly well, which is always good. It's always in the back of my mind whether I'm going to get around lap traffic easily, or if you know, the guy I'm chasing down is going to get held up at all. Sometimes that can help me out, but also at the same time, if you get him at the wrong point, it can hold you up as well, and then you don't get around him quite as well, and now you lose time. So it can go either way. A lot of times, if I have like this much space where you see here, or we've got some lap traffic, you can see Michael got held up a little bit there. I'm going to try to think about maybe even a turn or 2 ahead of time, where is that traffic gonna hit me, and try to do it in an advantageous place. Even if it means like holding back just a little bit in some areas, you'll probably end up not losing quite as much time overall by kind of setting that pass up a little bit. So we're around most of that traffic, and now we're just back to chasing Michael down. I actually didn't know anyone was behind me there. I saw him pull up, and at the time, like, I'm real bad about paying attention to, like, other people's bikes and colors and who the other riders are and everything until after the fact. So I actually had no clue who that was. I didn't know if he was in our class. I actually thought at the time that he was the traffic we had just passed, and they were just kind of following me into turn one. So, you know, whatever. But, so here we've closed up a ton of time on Michael. It was the last lap, so we're trying to just get as close as possible, and I don't think I have a great pace to pass him. I close up a little bit on entry speed here, but really nowhere, so I kind of let him go a little bit, and I'm like, let's get some drive out of 7 here, going into 8, 9. Let's just try to stay a little bit wide, and then tip in to try to get decent drive out of 9. And see if we can beat him to the line, but that's going to be a tall order for this bike. By now, you kind of know you're not going to beat him, and then all of a sudden, we get out-drugged by a 636. A little bit of a bummer to have that happen at the end, but what can you do? So we finished 4th in class for that race, lost the podium over that one at the end, but had a positive that we, you know, got personal best of the day, or kind of forever. So I had a great time at Roebling. As of now, recording this video, I am starting to pack for Barber. We don't have much time between Roebling and Barber, so we're headed to Barber next time. I'll try to get footage of those races and get those up as soon as I can afterwards, but hopefully we have a good time out there. See you guys there.